for the sake of the memes / entertainment, being as I've gone crazy and put XL number 1, and you don't even have him in your contenders group. Let's just do the XL one. So I want to get your take first. So, right, first things first. Is this not a bag of roster on paper? Is there some factor like what's your main angle as to why they're not even in the contender group? Because here's the thing, I could get them not being number 1. There's a bit of fucking hopium in that, but like I think the roster on paper, though, what a great job this is. Like, looks like an excellent offseason.
Yeah, they're 5 to me. I mean, I guess they could be in the contender roster because I don't think that they're significantly worse than the other teams that I have above them. But when I look at the roster, I just feel like so number one, like when you have Xerxes and Odo Omne on your team, you want a carry, which I guess would be Vetio. But like Patrick is the other guy. Normally you need 2 of them, and Patrick, it just has never been great to me. He's been like good, but I've just always been waiting for him to be better than what we've seen. So I don't really believe in him being able to actually like win a split. Like I feel like this team will be solid. Maybe they don't end up 5th, right? Maybe they end up 3rd or 4th. I just don't think that they have the ability to win. And then Xerxes. So that's one of my issues with the roster. I just don't think they have the firepower on the roster. And then when I look at Xerxes, I'm not sure if I completely like believe in him. I know he had a really good last split, but I watched too much LCS with him playing for Immortals for me to like really just commit to a roster with Xerxes on it. Like he's a weird player. I mean, he's good in certain metas, like with champions that he likes, but if we end up in the meta that it looks like we're about to end up in, with like Elise being played and like Maokai being played, these types of champions, I don't think that he'll be like super good at that type of that type of style. So we'll have to see on how effective he actually is on the team. I think Odo's solid. I think Vetio, for some reason, I feel like Vetio is going to have a down year. I don't know why. I don't think that there's any like basis for that, like in terms of just like any facts. I just have that like gut feeling that he looked good on Misfits when like, you know, he had to carry games and he had the ability to carry games. Now he's in a roster with like all these like veteran, well, I mean, 3 super veterans, and then Targamas is like relatively new, but he's been in a veteran roster overall. I don't know if he'll be as useful as he was in Misfits. I don't know if he has what it takes to like be beating the top players in matches that like matter a lot. Like, is he going to be in a semifinals versus Caps, or semifinals versus Larson, or semifinals versus Humanoid, or semifinals versus Perks, where he's expected to win and actually outperform them? I just can't see it yet, but who knows? Maybe we'll be wrong, but I guess that's my feeling right now.
Some angles for you. So, okay, first of all, I'm definitely with you on the Cersei angle, by the way. My problem with Cersei is this. Whenever he's at the top and he's in a top 3 or 4 team, people do, like everyone, they always want to make it like, maybe he's the best jungler. It's like, look, he's never, let's be real, he's never been the best jungler in LEC ever for a second in his life. Like, Jankos was there. If you go back to different seasons, like, it depends on what season we're talking about, but you can go back, but there was always someone who was better than him. But I do think the flaw of his game is actually very impressive. Like, for someone who has so many idiosyncrasies, such a weird style, as you say, beyond the LCS year with Immortals, usually even when his teams are like mid-table, I'm always like, damn, this guy always gets slightly more out of the game than I think he's going to. Like I always look at him and I always think like, everyone's going to figure this guy out. It's like, they don't. Like, dude, it's actually like fairly good. Like I'd say his consistency is pretty good. I'm with you though, he's not some super stud. So I will say he might be the factor that makes his team live or die. The real one though, to me, I'll go through all the players that you did, but the real one is probably the Vetio, whatever you want to call him, because like the real test, it's like Monty said, I get the sense you're in a similar boat. The problem is this, and I've seen this a lot in sports and esports, whenever you are not just like good, but you are like the carry of a bad / middling team, the problem with that is it does come with perks, as fucked up as that sounds. Like, for example, you have the green light 24/7. You have the green light for your picks 24/7. And by the way, he's not just like the carry on a bad team. He's the fucking mid lane in Europe. Like, you basically, it's your birthday party. You're 15 years old and you're a rich kid and your dad has to get you the pony, the fucking pink Barbie, Porsche. Like, the joke is you get everything. So yeah, the premise goes, if this is like a super team and all these big names, what happens if in this particular time he doesn't get the same jungle attention? What if he doesn't get the same resources? What if sometimes he has to be the guy who gives up a pick in draft to make it work so that like Patrick can get his fucking god tier Exodia ADC cut? Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, Dom. I'm with you. There's a world where maybe he's not as good. Maybe we find out he's like a really good player, but he's not Caps 2.0. Because I will say a lot of why I'm up on this roster and Vetio in general is like, I'm a mark for this guy. I'll just say it right out. In the same way as if I watch LPL, I'm an insane mark for fucking Knight. Like, I just make myself believe even the bad games, there was some like 7D Jenga reason he was trying to do that. Like, I'm the guy where if I'm a total mark, Dom, I even do that thing of like, maybe he just died in the side lane because he was trying to draw pressure. I do that shit, right? So I will say I'm sort of a mark for Vethio because I do think eye test wise, I've watched a lot of LEC and I have seen very few players ever come in just looking as good as this guy did out the gate, mate. I think it's fucking insane. So maybe there's a world that doesn't work out, but I'm going to gamble and say it does. So then if you go the other players, dude, I think Odoamne is a bit better than just good. Like he's always one of the best. The key thing is he's a bit like Cersei. He's never going to be the complete package. He's never going to be number one. But mate, he's always going to be like number 3 or number 2 or something. Like, yeah. I think it's mad that he was able to go to a team like this. Like that's just fucking found goal. I can't even believe Koi gave him to this team. But okay. So then it's only the bot lane left. Now I'm with you on the Patrick one. You know that from past shows. I have always thought, unfortunately, this guy got overrated. The joke is this, Dom. Actually, I think Patrick is the player you were implying Vethio could be. He's the one where if you just put him on a bad team, he'll always look like the best. But it looks like, bro, if you get all the resources and you were like Patrick on all those bad XLs, shouldn't you be like MVP of the whole league? Like, look, I don't want to fucking diss anyone because he is a good player and he seems like a cool guy. But my mate Forgiven, if you just put a whole team around him like that, he would be MVP like every fucking season. He might not win the league, but I tell you what, he'll fucking show out. Like, if you give him all his resources, everything, he'll look amazing. So I have always wondered the same thing, Dom. It's like no matter how you change the pieces around Patrick, he just seems to play the same. He's never bad, but to me, he's always either like middle of the pack or slightly above. He's never been the best ADC for me. You know?
He's like the 4th best or like 5th best in LEC by like slightly underperforming when he should be like on like a top 3 team, and then like super overperforming when his team should be shit. Like that, and so he always just ends up at 4th, but it's like it's by different methods that he ends up there. I don't know. For me, it's like it's just so hard to have watched LEC for the amount of time that I've watched LEC and be like, Patrick's going to be an LEC champion. Yes. He just, for some reason, and I mean, I could be wrong, but he just seems like he's the type of player that probably will never win like an LEC.
Sure. And then the thing is, though, the last player who I've left is obviously support Targamas. This is like the Odoamne one, mate. How the fuck was this player available for XL? Like, the craziest thing is, I made this point on some of the insight. For me, the XL project before was like being like a small market team in like a American sports league. And you're just trying to make small, cool moves, like one per season, you know, get a better draft pick here. That's what XL used to be. It was like, let's grind out like a tiny edge. This offseason, they got gifted Odoamne and Targamas. Because I have to say, by the way, this is the other angle I'm going to bring up on this, which I think maybe is why, in the same way as you had Vitality higher and I was a bit more tempered, I'm the opposite way on this XL team. Because here's the factor that I think could make this team insane, Dom. Right? Look at the veterans I've got. Odoamne, Cersei, and Patrick are all veterans. They've all played their role for many, many years in LEC. My 2 younger players are Vethio, who looks fucking goated as fuck as a stud, really strong up-and-comer. And then I've also got my support. And look at the timing. This is the 2nd year in LEC of Targamas. Like, look, sometimes players have the rookie year that's good and they go down. Sometimes the all-time great players, though, the next year's the one they really blossom. Like, dude, if this guy is anything better than he was last year, Targamas, and by the way, I think he will be, because spoiler, you can see what you like about Patrick. He's real ADC. The flackhead guy, I always thought was like the fucking limiting factor on Targamas. Like, the joke was, everyone can say, oh, his roams. You have to get out a lane to do a roam, mate. Like, what about those games when I'm just stuck in lane behind? Like, I think this could be the year where Targamas pops off, mate. And so that's the thing. Between Vethio, I like those as the young players. So we can have talking checkers. I think it's a very interesting roster. I'll give you that. Look, it could all go wrong. It's not an established roster, but I think the pieces are very interesting. Go on then, hit me.
So the question I have for you is, why do you think Targamas, or G2 let go of Targamas in favor of Mickey
X? I'll tell you why.
Because Mickey X looked better, or looked worse last year. Right?
I agree.
Mickey X looked worse and Targamas looked better, and then they already had the younger player. So what was the decision making?
Right, here's the juice I've heard. So I've heard the whole reason why Jankos is out and why Hansama's in is because of this story where they re-signed Caps and they sort of told Caps, sort of, it's your team, and he got to choose, right? And then I've heard that Hansama is the one who specifically wanted Targamas, and that for some reason that was like the draw. Like, it had to be him. And, oh, sorry, wrong way around. He wanted Mickey X, sorry, who we used to play with back in the day, instead of Targamas. So I've heard that's the only reason Targamas is out. Like, as far as I can tell, I think G2 was even interested in potentially keeping him until the Hansama move. And the thing that shocked me, like I said, is just that he ended up in XL. Like, do you think I'm overrating this guy or something? I think he's a fucking banger, mate. Bear in mind that was a rookie year. I can forgive a lot of those mistakes, you know. And like I said, I think his ADC wasn't that good. So I think this guy could have a really banger year this year. Is there some angle you think on why he got kicked from G2?
Well, I mean, I guess the thing for me, and the reason why I think Hansama probably wanted to play with Mickey X is I think that Targamas, it wasn't just that Flockhead was not great in lane. I think Targamas was also not extremely good in lane most of the time. So because he like wasn't a laning AD carry, like a lot of laning support, a lot of AD carries that are laning AD carries don't want to play with him necessarily. They're like, oh, I just want to play with, the guy who's just gonna like see all the angles, level 2, we're gonna go and kill them, we're gonna snowball the game. That's like the dream. And that's something that Hans Sama was best at in Europe. Like when he was really good in Europe, what were his picks? Draven and Kalista. Those were his 2 best champions. He played them whenever it was like in meta or whenever they were good, and they would be able to snowball through the lane. First 3 Drakes were like guaranteed with Rogue, and then there was the whole Rogue time meme where they would just randomly throw the game in the mid game. I think that's the main thing that AD carries are not completely sold on is Targamas's laning. They don't, and that's what AD carries want. They all want to win lane. Like, I mean, most of them want to win lane. All the aggressive ones want to win lane, right? So I think the players in Europe right now don't see him as like a laning support. He just is good outside of lane.
By the way, though, I will say, as an aside, that's why I think it's insane that he was available for XL. Like, I have to say, Dom, if I'm Fnatic and I am doing the following 3 things: 1, getting Reckless, and 2, getting rid of Hylissang, just sign Targamas for fuck's sake. Reckless has played like half his career 1v2 in bot lane with the Roman support. Like, that just seems like a slam dunk to me. Why are you keeping the Rocks guy over him? I know that's by the bike, so we'll get to Fnatic in a minute, but that's what I mean. Like, dude, how did no other team want to bid for this guy? Like, only XL cares about this fucking guy. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Whatever.
That's pretty strange.
Right, what about this then? So we did see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content. Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.